Hey, welcome back. If you're on SSI or you know someone who is, you are going to want to stay with me for this entire video because what I'm about to share with you could genuinely change your monthly budget in a very real way. SSI checks are expected to go over $1,000 a month with the new raise that's coming, and I want to be very specific about that number today because we actually have fresh data that just came out, and I want to walk you through exactly what it means for your check, what the projection looks like right now, and why crossing that $1,000 threshold is such a big deal for so many people. I also want to be completely real with you. The way this raise gets calculated is honestly kind of infuriating, and I'm going to explain why. But first, let's get into what we know. For those of you who are new here, welcome. This channel exists because navigating government benefits is confusing and exhausting, and nobody should have to figure it out alone. We break down complicated benefit information into plain English, and we've helped millions of people understand what they're actually entitled to. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Hit that button right now. It's free, and this is exactly the kind of channel you want in your corner when things like this come up. Now, let's talk about your money. Just over a week ago, we got the most recent inflation data released for the previous month, and I know what you might be thinking. Who cares about inflation data? What does that have to do with my SSI check? It actually has everything to do with your check. Here's how this works. The raise that SSI recipients get every year, called the Cost of Living Adjustment or COLA, is calculated specifically based on inflation data. It's tied to something called the CPIW, which stands for the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. That's the specific metric the Social Security Administration uses to figure out how much to raise your benefit each year. Now, I want to be upfront with you. I think this is a terrible way to calculate these raises. It's outdated, it's lagging, and it doesn't accurately reflect what people on fixed incomes are actually spending money on. But that's how the system works right now, so let's deal with the numbers we have. The most recent CPIW data shows inflation running at about 2.2% year over year. Based on the calculations and the trajectory of where this data is heading, the current projection for next year's COLA is approximately 2.1%. Here's why that number matters so much. The maximum SSI benefit for an individual right now in 2026 is $994 per month. We are sitting $6 away from $1,000, and for millions of people, crossing that threshold would be historic. SSI has never paid an individual over $1,000 a month at the federal level. Apply that projected 2.1% raise to $994, and you get an increase of about $20 per month, pushing the maximum individual benefit to approximately $1,014 a month. Now, I am not going to stand here and pretend that $1,014 a month is easy to live on. It is not. It is still going to be extremely difficult for most people. But finally, we may be crossing that $1,000 threshold, and that matters. It's a milestone, it's momentum, and for people who have been fighting for years just to get above the poverty line, it means something. Let's talk about who we're actually talking about here, because I want you to see yourself or someone you love in these numbers. There are approximately 7.5 million people in the United States currently receiving SSI, and this is not one type of person. This is seniors who worked their whole lives but didn't accumulate enough work credits. This is disabled adults living with chronic illness, physical disabilities, and mental health conditions who cannot work full-time. This is disabled children whose families depend on SSI to cover medical and daily care costs. This is veterans who are disabled as a result of their service. This is single moms, caregivers, and people who had to step back from work to take care of someone else and ended up qualifying for SSI themselves. Every single one of these people deserves accurate information about what's coming. Now, I talked about the individual benefit, but we have to talk about married couples as well, because this affects them differently. The maximum SSI benefit for a married couple right now is $1,491. Applying that same projected 2.1% raise, couples would see an increase of about $29 per month, bringing their maximum benefit to approximately $1,519 a month. So while that doesn't cross as dramatic a threshold as the individual benefit crossing $1,000, it does push couples above the $1,500 mark, and any extra dollars in a budget this tight genuinely matter. Now, here's where I have to be real with you, because I think you deserve honesty more than you deserve false hype. These numbers are not final, not even close. The official COLA announcement doesn't come until October, and the calculation is based specifically on inflation data from July, August, and September, the third quarter of the year. We still have months of data to go before we get the real number. And here's the part that frustrates me every single time we go through this cycle. As we get closer to those critical summer months, don't be surprised if these inflation numbers start looking suspiciously better. Every election cycle, every political season, these numbers have a way of getting adjusted in ways that conveniently make things look rosier than they are. I'm not pointing fingers at any one party or administration. They all do it, both sides. This is just how the game is played. So when you see headlines saying inflation is coming down, I need you to understand what that actually means, because this is important. Inflation coming down does not mean prices are coming down. I want to say that again because it gets misrepresented constantly. When the inflation rate drops, it means prices are still going up, just not as fast as they were. The prices at your grocery store, your utility bills, your rent, those are not dropping. They are still elevated. They are still high. The rate at which they're climbing is just slowing slightly. That is a very different thing from relief, and I don't want anyone watching this to be confused about that. We are the ones going to the stores. We are the ones paying the bills. We know what things cost, and we know that the numbers they put out don't always match the reality we're living. Even with all of that said, here's what gives me real hope. The projected 2.1% raise, even at its current estimate, would push that individual maximum over $1,000 for the first time in SSI's history. That is meaningful. And broader conversations around SSI reform, including updating the outdated $2,000 asset limit that hasn't changed since 1989, are gaining more traction than they have in years. People are paying attention, lawmakers are hearing from advocates, and the pressure to stop punishing people for trying to save a little money is finally starting to land. While we're waiting on final numbers, here's what I want you to do. Make sure your contact information with the Social Security Administration is current. You can update it at ssa.gov or by calling 1-800-772-1213. Double-check that you're receiving the correct amount right now, because errors happen more than you'd think. And if you've had any life changes, address, income, living situation, report those immediately. Also, don't forget to look into your state's supplemental SSI payments. Many states add money on top of the federal amount, and those go up too when the federal rate increases. If you live in California, New York, or Massachusetts, your actual check may already be higher than the federal base. Look, I know $1,014 a month isn't the finish line. I know there is so much more work to be done. But crossing $1,000 for the first time ever matters. It's proof that these numbers move when people pay attention, when people show up, when people stay informed. So stay with me this year, because we are going to have a lot of data coming in and a lot of updates to cover. It's going to be a wild ride, but I'll be here breaking it all down for you every step of the way. Drop a comment below. Are you on SSI? What would an extra $20 a month actually mean for your budget? Tell me. I read every single one. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's free, it takes 2 seconds, and this is the kind of information that could make a real difference in your life. We're in this together. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next one.